So I have a special talent. It's one of those talents that you're just kind of born and raised with, and everyone else wishes they could do it, but they can't figure it out. And no, it's not that I'm double jointed. Really freaking wish I were double jointed, dang it. How? No, my talent is just not caring that much about my phone.
Boo, that's not a talent.
Okay, shut up. It was hard for me to figure out how to make a hook for this video. It's been really popular for the past few years for people to talk about their screen usage on their phones. Oh, I have way too much screen time. Look how little screen time I have. It's going up in quarantine. It's going down, yada yada. And it's not like people are just like walking up to me like, Becca, you have so little screen time. How do you do it? Like, obviously no one cares. But newsflash, this is YouTube. People talk about things that you just don't care about. It's just, I don't know, it's something that I've seen videos about. It's clearly something that people are interested in. I also don't want to suggest that reducing your screen time is like gonna make your life better or is important at all. I really don't care. I know that like people have to use their phones for work these days, so I mean that's part of it, but like seriously, even if you're just like sitting there scrolling through TikTok, like I don't care. Scroll through TikTok. You do what you want with your life. It's your decision. But I know that a lot of people are looking for ways to reduce their screen time, and that happens to be something that I know about. So I thought I would share the tips that I have. I think my lack of interest in phones is mostly thanks to my parents and how they raised me. I didn't get a smartphone until I was 20, which didn't feel that bad at the time, but looking back, it's kind of weird to think that I made it through my first 2 years of college without a smartphone. But I did it when I got it. I was very into it at first. I wasn't checking my screen time back then, but I could get a general idea of how much I used my phone because I have Google Photos. So like every picture that I've ever taken is stored online. Yeah, I was looking at this earlier today, and oh my goodness, I just took pictures of the most pointless things because I was just so happy to have a phone with a halfway decent camera. I tied a ribbon around my head, and I was like, gotta take a picture of that. Took a picture of my cat socks. Oranges, why did I take a picture of oranges? I don't know. Lots of selfies, coffee, and then compare that to now where you look at like January of this year, and every single picture that I took in January of this year can fit on one screen of my computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pictures from January. And 2 of them are videos that I had to do for work. So that's one way to sort of compare. It's just like, you can tell how much I was using my phone back then because I was just like taking a lot of pictures. I think the first time I checked my screen time was when I was in grad school, and at that point my phone usage had gone down a bit, but it was around an hour and a half per day, which is also not bad. Like I said, I just kind of have this inherent lack of desire to use my phone. But still, a couple years ago, I realized that I was having a lot of trouble falling asleep. I've always had a lot of trouble falling asleep, but it was particularly bad right after grad school when I got my first teaching job. I would just go to bed and my mind was still racing. And you know, people always say that reducing screen time helps you fall asleep faster, and I tried it, and I think it's been working so far. It's been like 2 years since I sort of made these changes in my life, and now I fall asleep within like 15 minutes. Sometimes less, sometimes more. You know, everyone has those nights where you're just like stressed and staying up and thinking about things. Like, I'm not gonna say that I always fall asleep in 5 minutes or anything, but normally like 15 minutes and I'm out. And my average screen time is down to, let's look it up. Okay, so it says my last full charge was 5 days ago, and my screen usage since the last full charge is 2 hours and 49 minutes. 170 minutes divided by 5 days. So about 34 minutes per day over the past 5 days. So a little more than normal. Really, I didn't realize that my Bluetooth headphones were using that a lot. I've been jogging. I'm not looking at the screen when I jog, but I play music, and I guess my Bluetooth headphones suck a lot of life out of my phone. I watched YouTube for 23 minutes on my phone. I don't remember what that would have been. I hate to watch YouTube on my phone. I'm sorry, like, I probably shouldn't like trash YouTube mobile in a YouTube video, but I don't like to watch YouTube on my phone. It's like tiny. I have used Chrome for 10 minutes in the past 5 days. That's like That's so little. Okay, this is probably the big one. I've used Facebook for an hour and 13 minutes over the past 5 days. That's when I think of using my phone, I think of using Facebook and checking my text messages. Other social media and stuff I mostly use on my computer, and I don't know, these days I'm just a Facebooker. I'm an old person, what can I say? All my friends are on Facebook. Why would I use another social media when I can just talk to them on Facebook? That's where I'm at in my life right now. And that's where most of my usage is coming from. So yeah, that's where I'm at with screen time. I personally... What the heck? Hold on. Oh, right. It's the sound of our first tip. Pretty much any list of tips for reducing screen time will mention phone-free zones. I do think this is a good tip, but I think that some people go a little overboard with it. Like, my phone-free zones are the bedroom, the bathroom, and kind of the office, but that's mostly just because, like, why would I use my phone when my computer's right there? But that doesn't mean I never use my phone in those places. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast while I'm in the shower, or bring my phone to bed because I'm having a really good conversation with a friend. I feel like being too restrictive can lead to new bad habits. Like, if I didn't allow myself to bring my phone to bed ever, I would probably just get into the habit of laying on the couch, scrolling through my phone until like midnight every night. For me, this also means getting an old-fashioned alarm clock. I tried for at least a year to just restrict how much I was using my phone in bed. You know, I would say only look at it a little bit before bed, or don't look at it in bed, but like you still have to use it as your alarm clock. But like when it's there, you're gonna be laying in bed and you're like, man, what time is it? And you go and check and you see what time it is, and then you're like, well, I'm already here. Maybe you have a Facebook notification and you're like, great, now I have to look at my Facebook notifications. And then even if you don't look at it at night, you wake up the next morning and you're like, I didn't look at my phone at all last night. Okay, you turn off the alarm on your phone and then, oh, lots of notification. And the first thing you do, like you can't even get up in the morning. You sit there and scroll for like 15 minutes instead of getting up. And that takes away from your sleep too. That was a big thing for me, was that I just like couldn't get myself up in the morning because I would just sit there and scroll. This takes away all that temptation. It's great. At this point, I just leave my phone charger in the living room. I don't have to charge my phone every night, but like, you know, when I do, it forces me to leave it out in the living room. And then I use this bad boy to wake me up. It took me a good amount of time to find an alarm clock that I really, really liked. I don't want to make any bold claims yet because I've had some where I think they're working really well, and then suddenly after a few months, it's like suddenly starts ticking really loudly, or the snooze button doesn't work anymore. But so far, this guy's doing really well. I like this alarm clock. It's so cute and like 90s aesthetic with the like clear stuff going on. So cute. It displays the time on the ceiling. Are you kidding me? That's so cool. Oh, hey. Eric? Just a second. Oh yeah. It's our next tip. Very specific memory from when I was a kid. My uncle was talking to my dad about how if one of his daughters said a bad word, he wouldn't just tell her, don't say that. He would give them an alternative word, usually something silly that's more fun to say anyway. I don't really remember why they were talking about this. They were probably just talking about like parenting skills. I don't even think they thought that I was listening, but 10-year-old me heard this and I was like, yo, that's genius! And that stuck with me. Even years later, I still think of how if you want to get rid of a bad habit, the best way is to replace it with a new habit. For me, it's mostly been reading. I'm a slow reader, so I'm not gonna pretend like I've just read a million books since I stopped using my phone and it changed my life completely. But I do read like an hour a night before bed, and oh my goodness, it is so much easier to fall asleep when you've been reading instead of scrolling through your phone. Like, I know people say this, but it is 100% true. Because, okay, it's a win-win situation. Either you're reading a really interesting book and, you know, you're reading a really interesting book, or you're reading a really boring book that puts you to sleep and you're asleep. By the way, I'm reading Michelle Obama's memoir right now. Thank you, Amber, for letting me borrow it. It's pretty good good so far. Eric and I also usually watch an episode of Star Trek or a few YouTube videos before bed. We don't actually watch them in here, but I wanted to change up the scenery. We watch them actually in bed. I know this is still looking at a screen, but it adds a sense of routine and a time limit that can't be provided by endless scrolling. And these are just a few examples. I also replace phone time with working out, cooking, going for a walk. What? Oh my gosh. Ah, yes, my third tip is to use your computer more. Okay, I know I just said to watch TV and use your computer as a way to reduce screen time, but bear with me. Computers are so much more controlled than phones. Phones are constantly trying to reel you in with push notifications and stuff. Even if you don't have the push notifications, you still go to your home screen and you see all these red dots that you want to get rid of. And it's just sort of the nature of the way phones work. Like, phones are fast, you turn them on, you know like what you need to check really fast, you can like look at your notifications. Maybe this is another little hack. I don't have desktop icons on my computer, so when I open my computer, I'm like, I look at what I want to look at, and to get there, I just use my start menu. So I don't have push notifications. Maybe some computers have like little red dots for you to click, but I don't have that on my computer. So like, it's not like my computer tells me what to look at. I just open my computer and I'm like, I want to look at Facebook for a bit, or I want to watch some YouTube videos, or no, now it's time to work. And it's easy for me with the way my computer is set up and just the way computers work to focus on what you want to focus on. There's nothing else trying to capture your attention. It's easier to multitask. Like if I want to, I can, kind of slack off and watch YouTube while I get some work done. Can't really do that on a phone. When you're on your phone, it's like, just stare at the app. Whatever app you're scrolling through, just stare at it. That doesn't really happen for me so much on the computer. And all my work is on the computer. I mean, I don't love that, but it's 2021. What can you do? But because everything's on the computer, it's easy for me to switch gears and say, okay, now I'm done with YouTube. Open up your stuff that you have to do for work, right? If you're scrolling through your phone on the couch, when you're done relaxing, it's like, now I have to get up and maybe I'll go get a drink first and grab a snack and check Facebook one more time and then work. Whereas when you're on the computer, it's like, okay, go over to that other window. For me, it's just very easy for me to switch between work mode and relax mode when I'm on my computer, and I can't really get myself to do that when I'm on my phone. Honestly, I know I do spend too much time on YouTube and other social media sites on my computer. That's actually something that I might do another video on soon, so stay tuned for that. But it does give me way more control. Your mileage may vary with this one, but I think that it works for me. Okay, am I not gonna get an interruption for the next tip? Hello, you had one job. What is your problem? You're supposed to... Oh, right. You're not making any noise because our last tip is keep your phone on silent. A lot of people tell you to turn off your notifications if you want to reduce screen time, and I agree with this fundamentally, but for me, it's just not a necessary step because I keep my phone on silent all the time. This started back in college when my phone went off during class, and I was a mortified little introvert, and from that moment, I swore that I would never let my phone go off during class ever again. So I just keep it on silent all the time. And it works. I don't let my phone tell me when to use it. I decide when I want to use my phone. And when I do, I like to have the little list of notifications sitting there waiting to tell me what are the most important things that I need to look at. It actually ultimately keeps my phone time shorter, I think. This is not a scientific study, that's just a theory that I have. People get stressed out by this and say, what about emergencies? And that's a valid concern. In my 6 years of having a phone that's always on silent, I haven't missed anything that's important. I get all my texts and calls forwarded to my computer through Google Voice. Rest in peace, Google Hangouts. So if someone really needs to contact me, I usually see it on my computer. And if I'm waiting to hear from someone or in a situation where I know that someone might need to contact me quickly, I just take my phone off silent for a while. Again, these are just suggestions, not strict rules that need to be followed 100% of the time. Anyway, I know this video is a bit self-aggrandizing, but everyone needs to boost their self-esteem every now and then. I don't know. Like I said, this is just something that I happen to be good at, and I know that other people are interested in it. So I thought I'd share what I know about the topic. And yeah, I do still need to work on spending less time on my desktop. YouTube is definitely my Achilles heel there, and as I mentioned, you guys might be seeing a video related to that topic soon. Wink, wink. But what about you guys? What screen is the hardest for you to look away from? Or if you want to build yourself up, what app or website isn't all that enticing for you? Genuinely, I was thinking the other day about how I miss when I feel like I used to have like little conversations in my comment section, and I feel like that has just sort of like slowly gone away from my channel over time. I'm not sure why, I just haven't been like doing those little like comment call to action sort of things as much anymore. Because often they feel forced, but I really do think this is an interesting topic, so like I hope it doesn't feel forced to you guys, because I genuinely want to know like what your experience is with, you know, having too much screen time. Have you guys tried to cut down before? What tips do you guys have, especially if you're someone who doesn't use your computer a lot? I would love to hear tips. And if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I put videos out every other Friday about music, media, linguistics, and whatever else is on my mind that week. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.